mighty crash and another titan of the forest falls. Down they come, soon to be on their way to vast mills. Later, these huge trees become pulp for paper, boards for building. In 1,000 different ways, the forest contributes to the progressive onward march of our civilization. Danger here, too, even for men who know not the meaning of the word fear. A thrill for us, but just a routine job for these hardy lumbermen. Down the angry, swirling river they go to later send back word, all's clear, shove on the logs.
Well, I've been in Preston for 90 years. I remember my parents setting up an Alaskan-type tent with a wood floor.
Cows were free running around.
Preston was founded in the 1880s. Prior to that, there had been several homesteads in the area. In 1884, the Seattle Lakeshore and Eastern Railway formed, and they started heading towards the Snoqualmie Pass, and along the way was Preston, and I believe they formed the town around that period.
It was named after a railroad engineer.
Yeah, Preston.
They were going to name it St. Louis.
In 1889, the Lovegren family came to town. It was right after the Seattle fire, and they were a Swedish immigrant family, and they brought a mill to Preston. And with that, they were able to make shingles for the rebuilding of Seattle. It created a huge opportunity, and Lovegren really took advantage of this.
There was lots of cedar locally and handy, and he saw water available. And being by the railroad, he built this first mill in Preston, the shingle mill.
What's really unique about Preston compared to the other communities in the Snoqualmie Valley is Lovegren was from Sweden, and he actually sent away to Sweden and brought over other Swedes to work for him, and so Preston became a Swedish community.
By 1900, he had accumulated enough money from the shingle mill to start a sawmill.
So he was operating 2 mills at the time at Preston.
There was motion and action, sound going on in this town, mainly from the railroad coming through twice a day with little logs and back again in the afternoon, and the mill running down there all steam.
Preston had a baseball team and a basketball team.
The Depression hit in the 1930s, but lumber prices plummeted.
And in its most desperate times, they resorted to a bartering system for a short time. It kept them alive for that worst period, and then from that point on, things began to slowly get better.
Preston's company store was sold off in the 30s, and it was worked on by the WPA, and they turned it into a community rec hall. The Sunset Highway, by the 1940s, the state really wanted to streamline it, so they started putting in Highway 10. Its route was actually directly right through town, so they ended up having to condemn a lot of downtown Preston, and that changed how the town was.
Oh, things were coming back in the 50s. With Eisenhower as president, that was about the quietest, easiest going period that we had.
After the 50s and 60s, there was a big turn down in our economy. Preston Mill ended up closing. Logging had basically been going on for 90 to 120 years here in the valley, and they had basically logged out all of the old growth timber.
They sold the mill to a log exporter.
Logging companies were really starting to be cracked down on because of the spotted owl that was thought to live only in the old growth timbers.
Well, that was the time for the final shutdown for the mill.
By the 90s, you lived in a more rural place and commuted into Seattle. That was what Preston was. It wasn't a mill town anymore. I think there's a lot of rich history here that's relatively unexplored. There's a lot of room for discovering our past and sharing it with others. This area is amazing to live in. It has beautiful landscapes. You're so close to nature. You can walk out your door and within a block you're on hiking trails that people travel hours to come see. But then there's also a huge sense of community. Everyone helps each other out when there's an issue. People are friendly and welcoming, and it's just a great place to live.
After logging time comes fun time, fast action for everybody. And for the loser, a great big bath.